So this is Danny Cosgrove from MMAMount.com, talking with all-round personality and UFC heavyweight Pat Barry ahead of his fight with Christian Moorcraft. That's going to be on UFC on Fuel TV in Nashville this Saturday. So Pat, thanks a lot for talking to us. Honestly, it's a true pleasure. First thing I want to talk about is when I was just first getting started into MMA, first getting into the UFC, it was one thing that inspired me was your story. I remember you said you were living off bread and you couldn't even get the bus. I mean, and then going on to getting your knockout of the night at the UFC. Just talk a little bit about your journey to the UFC and what it means for you to fight in the UFC.
Well, you know, I mean, I've always been a ninja my entire life. I mean, as a kid, every Halloween, you know, I just always wanted to be Van Damme, you know, Sagat from Street Fighter. Ninja Turtles were like the greatest thing that ever happened, you know. I really wanted to be a ninja inside of my head. And then, you know, I started kickboxing because I didn't do any of this as a kid. I didn't do any martial arts. I was a gymnast as a kid. I was on the bowling team in high school. I didn't do anything in college. You know what I mean? So I always secretly wanted to be a ninja and do. So I picked kickboxing at 23. It was a fun hobby, and the more I did it, the better I got at it. The better I got at it, the more I loved it. And one day I needed it, and I started doing that, man. And then, you know, it just seemed like MMA was just a natural progression, man. And you know, I gave it a try one day, and you know, learning wrestling and jiu-jitsu allowed me to be a student again. It allowed me to start learning new things. I mean, you never stop learning striking. You're always going to be learning that, but like I got to a point where my striking game had gotten a little stagnant, got a little stalemated, man. So I mean, to be able to start over with jiu-jitsu and wrestling and have to redo my striking kickboxing game, it led all more to just me being a ninja, actually being an actual ninja. You know what I mean? We get to stand there and you know just get out, you know, man to man, and it's been one hell of a ride so far.
That's excellent. I mean, well, that's funny because that's one thing I was going to touch up on. I mean, we do know how much of a ninja you are, but obviously, you've got probably the most vicious kicks in the heavyweight division, and you've pretty much rocked everyone you've fought. But the one thing that's been stopping you so far is just finishing them. You can see it with Tim Hague, Crow Cop, and Chet Congo. I mean, is that something you know?
Tim Hague, Crow Cop, Chet Congo, Stephen Struve. I mean, I think I'm on the verge of breaking a record as being the first guy to lose to guys he's beating.
Yeah.
If you think about it, the 4 fights that I've lost in my MMA career were fights that I was winning. Yeah. Somebody wrote this on the internet. I saw this in the forum, and this was the funniest shit I'd ever seen. Somebody wrote, "If Pat Barry is kicking your ass, you're definitely going to win." Hey, man, when I read that, I was like, that is the truest statement, that's the truest crack anyone's ever made. If Pat Barry is kicking your ass, you're definitely going to win.
Well, you may be right.
Man.
That's
so I've got to get in the ring. So now the new strategy is get in the ring and let a guy punch you in the head 6 or 7 times.
So, you know, you mentioned you had your regime. It was making you irritable before fights. And it was a great regime.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely with the training with Brock and the new team with Death Clutch and these guys. I mean, these guys, like, wrestlers are like the hardest dudes in the world, man. Like, you can be a kickboxer, a boxer, a football player, whatever you want to be, man. But wrestlers just seem to these dudes are just hard, angry guys all the time. You know, and when you're around that, you find that it's not that you have to be genuinely upset or angry, but these guys just have an aggression level that's just out of this world, something that I've never had to deal with. And now I see the benefits of coming in with no remorse. You know, I see the benefits of that. I've always known it existed, but now I'm actually seeing the benefits of coming in with no remorse for the well-being of whoever's standing across from me. Because at the end of the day, no one makes us do this. We all choose to do this on our own. We all know the possible consequences of stepping in the octagon and getting into a fight. So if we all, you know, every man who gets in there is aware of what could possibly happen. So that takes the guilt away, you know.
Yeah, well, that's excellent. Well, let's move on to the fight then. I mean, you know, Christian Moorcraft is quite a big guy. You've seen him; he's good on the ground. I mean, obviously now you're training with wrestlers. Have you been preparing for his ground game? Have you noticed any flaws in his game?
Yeah, I mean, I'm being able to watch his previous fights and knowing what I know of Christian. you know, as an athlete, as a fighter, as a competitor, and just as a person. Now, there are definitely holes in his game that I feel like if I can capitalize on, and I've trained specifically for this fight to be able to do that, to capitalize on those holes in his game. Now, I'm sure that I've got holes in my game too that he is hoping to capitalize on himself, but you know, along with me being able to attack the weaknesses in his game, I've also been protecting the weaknesses in mine.
Yeah, brilliant. What is your game plan? If you want to tell us, what is your game plan? What you're going to go in there and do? How do you see the fight finishing?
The game plan for him is the same game plan for everybody else. I don't plan on the fight coming out of round one. I'm coming in, and the intention is to punch and kick you until you give up. Either you're physically incapable of continuing, or you just mentally weak and just give up. That's the plan. It's always been the game plan. Everybody, no matter who it is, don't worry about Pat Barry's awesome submission skills and his double leg takedowns. I'm coming in to hurt anybody who's standing across me and get them to verbally give up. That's the game plan as always. To get him to choose to quit. Choose to quit. That's excellent.
Okay.
Wow, I'm actually getting a phone call in my home. What is that? Hello? Yes, please. Okay. All right. Hello? How about that, man?
No worries. Just two more quick last questions then. No. What's your thoughts about steroids, performance-enhancing drugs in MMA? There's been a lot in the news about obviously.
Oh yeah, I just recently saw that. You know what? It would be absurd to believe and think that the top-level sport doesn't have some type of advancing
exactly.
Whether it's a drug or some method, something to advance the sport. I mean, that's just with the evolution of sport. It would be naive to believe that doesn't exist. Do I think it should exist? I don't know. I don't really have much of an opinion, or at least I tend to fail to voice my opinion on that, because if you sit there and say, take all drugs out of sports, then imagine this. Imagine the NFL right now without, you know, just like certain things. It doesn't have, I'm not necessarily meaning steroids, but I mean, there's drugs, but then there's all types of new things that help athletes advance and take it to the next level.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. So I really am torn, because is there a bad side to it? Sure. Is there a good side to it? Sure. I mean, I don't, like I said, that tends to be a question that I avoid, because I don't really know where I fall on that. I would like to believe that we as human beings can go so far and do all these different things that we can with nothing. But then, I mean, does that take into consideration like certain exercise techniques or certain workout machines or certain like ways to eat or different vitamins? I mean, how far does this go, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, brilliant. I mean, one other thing is, I don't know if you've seen it, is the ESPN, what ESPN did on the fighter salaries. Now, a lot of people know, obviously including yourself, what it means for someone to be able to, you know, fight in the UFC and fight the top level. What have you got to say to anyone who'd want to, you know, put that down and put down what the UFC are doing for their guys?
The UFC has given a lot of opportunities that were not going to be given to a bunch of the athletes in the sport. Like, the UFC has really come a long way and helped the guys that would not have had this opportunity if the UFC weren't around. I mean, they really have given a lot. I know there's a lot of critique that goes on to, like, the UFC, the amount that they pay us, and what they do for the fighters. But I mean, I think people are dwelling too much on the negative. They're not looking at all the positive.
Yeah.
They're not looking at the good things, opportunities the UFC has given us with the exposure, with the paychecks, with the discretionary bonuses that come in like 2 weeks after that the world will never hear about.
Yeah.
Now, could it always be more? Sure. I think I need $1 million raise. I mean, that's just of course, that's always going to be, no matter how much they pay us. Could they always pay us more? Absolutely, yeah, man. I don't think anyone would ever disagree with that. But I don't think, you know, people are really taking it out of context, I think, to a certain extent, man. I mean, it's not, like I said, I just think that people should focus more on the positive than on the bad. I mean, they're focusing so much on the bad side that they're overlooking all the good that comes out of it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something. ESPN's headline tomorrow is Pat Barry, I need $1 million raise.
Pat Barry, I need $1 million. Pat Barry, I would like $1 million raise.
Yeah, that's it. ESPN, they're already on it. Right.
You know what? As a matter of fact, make it Pat Barry, I would like $100 million raise.
Excellent.
$100 million raise. I think I've earned it and I deserve it.
That's it. Well, they're already on it. Now, one last question for you. Obviously, we're over in the UK. You've got a lot of fans in the UK. How is MMA in the UK received in the States? What's your thoughts on it?
MMA in the UK? I mean,
yeah.
You know what? I know the UK, a lot of people that know about the fighting in the fighting world, they know that in the UK, kickboxing is really big and this and that. But what the world doesn't know just yet is how big MMA really is in the UK. I mean, it's growing. It's growing like everything. It's growing like everything else. I mean, there's fighting all over here. Hey, guess what? Here in America, some people actually know how to play soccer. That's changed. So given that right there, that just leads to show you right there that in the UK, MMA is actually going to be big and it's going to grow, man. Everybody's going to do this. The sport is growing. It's evolving everywhere. It's only a matter of time, man, before we're back to gladiator days, man, where we're in the cage fighting with weapons and lions, man. It's just coming, and the UK is going to be there like everybody else.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Pat, honestly, it has been a pleasure. Now, Saturday night, what's your predictions? First round, KO, second round. Give me your predictions for the fight.
Hey, you know what, man? I'm bringing this back to not old school. It's going to be a new version of, you know, my old thing, man. I'm going to come in. It's just like it's always same thing, man. I'm throwing heat. I'm throwing heat. I'm coming to finish the fight. And if I don't finish the fight, let's say I lose, I'm going to lose better than anybody.
Yeah, yeah.
I am Pat HD Barry, that hyper guy. I get HD on anything. It doesn't matter. Either I'm going to win all the way or I'm going to lose all the way. Now, that's how it's going to be. I don't know how to do middle ground stuff. I don't know how to, like, half-ass it and then just we're going to move around here and there. I don't know how to squeak out a win. I'm either going to win all the way or I'm going to lose all the way. That's just how it's going to be.
Whatever happens, you're going to show a good fight. Pat, all the best on Saturday. We're going to be rooting for you. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks,
Take care.
All right, everybody.
Bye now.
Bye.